Welcome to Konoha Crush, a clandestine effort to exhaustively research and document events occurring in and around the village hidden in the leaves. I'm Ruby.
I'm Gwen. Hi.
Hi, hey, we're doing the podcast again. We're here. How's it been? How's this last week been for you? You been up to anything?
Yeah, well, I'm good, first off. Thanks for asking.
Of course, I love to ask. I'm doing pretty good too, actually, now that you mention it.
That's great. The fuck have I been up to?
Well, you said already that you're up to something, so, like, you can't just back out on me now.
Fuck, okay, I started playing the first Legend of Zelda on stream. That was fun.
That was fun. I was there for that.
Yeah, you were there for that. What else? Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I assume there's probably an anime you've been watching, but we can't talk about it on here.
Oh, yeah.
There's an anime we've both been watching that we're very concerned in our efforts to not talk about on, like, to each other in general, not even just on the podcast.
Mm-hmm. More on that later.
More on that later. Oh, later in this episode or just later in general?
I mean, just later in general, right? Like,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They'll know when they know.
They'll fucking know. They'll all see.
They'll all see. No, yeah, besides that, like, I don't know, fucking not really. Like, I don't know.
Been drawing shit?
Yeah, I've been drawing shit. I've been fucking working my ass off to the bone.
Oh my god. That's so sad.
Yeah, and so, like, you know, I'm a busy bitch.
You're a busy bitch. I'm a less busy bitch. I've just been chilling. I started up playing Final Fantasy VII, and my product is play all the Final Fantasy games. Still really love Final Fantasy VII. It's interesting because this is the first one I've played that's like in this project. This is the first one I've played in this project that's like, oh, I have like fairly recent experience with playing this all the way through, so I basically know how I feel about this, and it's just kind of like an interesting experience, like just going through it and like being like, oh yeah, I love this bit. Oh, I love this bit. Oh, I don't really love this bit, but I love this bit. You know, it's kind of like a change of pace for me. I'm not really a person who like replays or rewatches or like rereads stuff all that often, which like might sound kind of strange when the premise of this podcast is me going all the way through Naruto a third time. But like,
yeah, but that's just because I made you.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically how it went. And I guess the other thing is I've been reading a little more Berserk. That's been going.
Still Berserk.
It's still Berserk, yeah.
Cool.
Cool, yeah. Hold on. I think I had a few things I wanted to say about that. Let me try and get my thoughts in order a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess an interesting thing about, like, my process of reading Berserk is that often I'll hit a point in it where it just sort of feels like there is this sort of explosive growth in, you know, Kentaro Miura's ability to make the comic. Like, I often in ways that make me feel like a little bit foolish for things I had just said about it. Like, I know on the episode recorded last week, I talked about how a lot of times the layouts are like fairly plain and sparse, and like I think they're all still very direct at the point I'm at. But like very shortly after I recorded that episode, I read a few more chapters, and like I was reading the part about like Griffith is in the torture dungeon and he's thinking about guts, and there's like a few other chapters around there where they're talking about like the fucked up like prison tower and like going down into that, where there's just this really like dense and compact and like intricate like stuff being done with the space of the page that I found really exciting, but definitely made me feel like a little bit foolish for like what I had just said on the podcast last week.
Mm-hmm.
But like that is fine. I mean, like it is exciting to see like there's a very real sense of like growth in the comic that is
yeah. Fucking like something that like I genuinely love is when you're reading like a long running like comic or whatever and you can see the art get better.
Yeah. I mean, like, because I've definitely read long running comics where I feel like they lose something over the course of going, and like that hasn't really happened so far. Like I keep having these like breakpoints where it's just suddenly like I'm just kind of stunned by like the quality the thing has taken on. So I was having a really good time with that, and then like I got to the point where they break Griffith out of prison and they're like fleeing the prison, and I started to have like a little less good time with the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are some guys that get sent after, you know, Guts and Co. as they're fleeing the prison that are you know, perhaps indulging in some of the comic's worst impulses, I would say. And, you know, I think even beyond that, a lot of that stuff winds up taking a little more of a plain quality on again, as it's like out of the stuff that feels very central to the progression of the book. Yeah, like there's the like monster criminal guy who leads like the criminal night squad or whatever who's chasing after him, and that guy fucking sucks. And that stuff's not very fun to read a lot of the time. Like it kind of gets there a little bit once he like goes full big monster guy mode, and like Guts is fighting him in the forest, and like there are bits where it's like it's playing into stuff that was sort of the groundwork of what the comic was at the start, where like you've got Guts fighting big monsters, but like it is being executed with like such a greater level of skill at this point that it just feels like a completely different thing, and it's like very tense and like very like gripping to read until like the guy says too much shit, and it's like, oh, I hate when you're on screen actually.
Yeah.
So that's about where I'm at with the Berserk. Like that's basically exactly where I left off the last time I read any of it. I'll probably keep talking about that just because I like talking about it, and you seem to like talking to me about it, which means it's good. It's good to have on the podcast.
I'm totally down for just like a week by week like play by play of where fucking Ruby's at with Berserk.
Yeah, if you don't like listening to that, sorry, but
Yeah, like you're bad, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I've been up to. Do we want to get into Naruto?
Yeah, let's get into fucking Naruto. Hold on, I'm gonna take my shirt off first.
Oh my god! All right.
All right, let's fucking do this.
Let's fucking do this. Let's try not to think too much about my shirtless podcast co-host on the other end of this fucking Discord call.
Look, it's fucking hot over here. I had to turn my fan off to like record the podcast.
God,
like,
that's right. I once it gets hotter here. I'm really dreading that, but like, I'm sure I'll live.
Yeah, just take your shirt off.
If it comes to it.
Okay. Episode 54: The Summoning Jutsu. Wisdom of the Toad Sage. On a roof somewhere, Dosu thinks he's going to kill Gaara. Despite some sound logic, he meets his end under a full moon with Kabuto and Baki watching from a nearby balcony. Gekko listens in from around a corner while they openly talk about their plans. The conversation wraps up, and they have a very polite exchange on which one is going to go kill Gekko. Gekko flees, and Baki catches him, and gets his ass with a wind blade.
Yeah, so I mean, before we get into our episode proper, we have another new opening.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. I like it.
It's a pretty good one. Yeah, I do like this opening quite a bit. I do feel sort of at loss in terms of like what to say about it, and compared to some of the ones we've had previously. I mean, I did speak about this very extensively. I really like Toshiki Suru's openings for this series. This is not a Suru opening. This is directed and storyboarded by Tokiyuki Matsutake. Still has Hirofumi Suzuki as animation director on it. Mm-hmm. I think there's like some really solid stuff in there. There's like, it's kind of like drilling into that concept in terms of like what it's presenting of like here's the way that all of these kids are like, they have the shared loneliness that they get brought in. We get Naruto being sad and alone. We get Gaara on his own loneliness swing. We get the two Hyugas. And that's sort of like the concept the opening is going for, but I think it also suffers a little bit because it spends a lot of time just going like, okay, here's all the characters in the show, and like here's some kind of disconnected action bits that I think kind of get in the way of the opening like fully standing as its own thing, even if basically every shot in this thing looks really good.
Yeah, I will say a big mistake I noticed, and like it's not so bad in like a vacuum, but like next to the show it's on, it's really frustrating, is that they forgot to draw Sakura straight.
There is like a very front and center, like here's the Sakura and Ino cut of them like being together, and like I don't know that they're gonna be in the show this much during the like stretch of episodes this opening is for. Like I feel like they're in one of our episodes this week, and that might be about it. But like they still do get to be here as I guess the girl ones who have the most screen time so far. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, and like if you want a little bit more elaboration on that thing I just said, it's just and Sakura like hanging out like in a field of flowers, and then Sakura being all like blushy and like eyelash batty at Ino for some reason.
Yeah, it's like I mean I get wanting that, but it's just tragically not the world we live in.
Right. Maybe that's just Ino's daydream.
Maybe I can really believe that.
God, that's right, because it's themes, right? Because then it turns around to like feeling like loneliness as like a lesbian, right?
Yeah, it's all connected.
It's all expected. Okay, all right, we figured it out.
We solved it. We solved the opening.
Yeah. All right, do you have anything else to say about the opening?
I mean, like, I could shout out the cut at the end where Naruto's, like, standing up in the water and he's, like, shaking himself off again. I think it's extremely good.
Oh, yeah.
It's Norio Matsumoto, so, like, of course it looks extremely good, but, like, damn. And, like, I think it's fun that we get a shot of, like, the Sani and his children as, like, a sort of little bit of, like, hey, here's some connections between these characters, and here's this other character we haven't seen yet. I think it's fun when, like, an opening has a little hint of something we haven't seen yet to, like, kind of grab your attention. But in that, yeah, no, it's pretty straightforward. It's, like, a good one, but it's not, like... I don't know much more to say other than, like, yeah, I like seeing it. I like the song. I like how it looks. And then the episode starts.
So fucking rest in peace, Dosu, huh?
Yeah, Dosu is... It doesn't go great for Dosu. Like, he I love the implication that he's just sort of been following Gaara around for days. He's like, eventually this fucking guy is gonna sleep. And, like, basically all this is achieved for Dosu is just kind of make him more tired. Gaara's just, like, sitting on top of a fucking... he's sitting on top of a big Shachihoko looking at the moon, and he's, like, talking about himself like he's a werewolf.
Gaara is just a werewolf in this one, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, the Dosu's like, my sound is faster than your sand. And it turns out that's not really what's in contention, because it can't really keep him from being crushed by, like, Gaara, who's maybe a werewolf. You know, we don't really see what he's doing, but, like... His shape's getting all weird in the moonlight, so that's probably a werewolf.
Yeah, I mean... Look, I don't know a whole lot about werewolves, but I know one thing, and signs point to werewolf.
It seems like the most reasonable conclusion we could draw at this point.
Mm-hmm. And just kind of watching that encounter...
Watching that encounter, we've got Kabuto and Baki, and, like, basically the sum total of what Kabuto has to say about Dosu dying there is basically just, like, lol, LMAO.
Yeah. But Baki is the Sand Jonin in charge of the Sand siblings, by the way, if, you know, if listeners don't really recognize the name.
Yeah, I guess I'm probably, like, a person who just knows a lot of Naruto characters' names and will just say them in a way that might not register to people.
Yeah.
So maybe I should be a little more specific about that sometimes. But you got me covered, so it's fine.
Yeah. Look, I know because I had to go and look up his name real quick to write the recap.
I mean, we all this entire time, like, first time he shows up on screen, I'm like, yeah, that's Baki.
Yeah.
Kabuto and Baki are having their extremely suspicious conversation. And the thing I really love about this is how Baki's just kind of, like, increasingly, you know, like... unsure of what to make about Kabuto, because he's kind of like, hey, why are you just, like, going around and doing shit? Why are you guys just fucking making a mess of things? Like, I thought we had a thing going on. I think we were, like, gonna be all sneaky. You're just like, what's wrong with you guys? Why are you like this? And Kabuto's just like, don't worry, it's fine.
Yeah, no, this was the plan the whole time. Don't worry about it.
We were always just gonna fuck around. Like, you could, like, be all cool, like, you know, keep it close to your chest until you're gonna go and, like, attack the leaf. But we're just gonna fuck around. We're gonna have a great time. We're gonna be sickos out here.
Yeah, we're gonna be sickos out here.
And speaking of being sickos, there's a guy over there.
Yeah, you want to kill him or should I?
Oh, it's amazing how much this story, it's really just like, yeah, I mean, you know, I can kill that guy, you know, if you'd like me to. And Baki's like, no, it'd be most polite for me to kill that guy. It's just common courtesy.
Yeah, no, you're the guest here.
Uh-huh.
It's really good.
In watching the scene, I very quickly came to the realization that I had confused Gecko with, like, a different Naruto character, and just sort of or like had combined them in my head and just sort of assumed they were the same person. Mm-hmm. I was thinking of Genma, who has, like, similar hair, and he's got like a head cloth thing on, and he's got, like, a, you know, he's got, like, a thing in his mouth all the time. I just sort of thought they were the same guy for some reason. And, no, they're just two different guys who don't really matter much, and, like, make just enough of an impression to, like, vaguely remember that they exist.
Oh, yeah.
You can see how I could make that mistake.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
not anymore, because I'm never going to forget that Gecko died now, because I've said it on a podcast, and I remember everything I say on the podcast.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, Gecko's fucking dead. This is like a weirdly high body count episode of Naruto. We got 2 guys dead already.
Mm-hmm. I want to say, your little like bullet point talking point of like high body count episode of Naruto. Like when I first read that, I was like, is it really like Gecko died, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'd totally forgotten that Dosu was killed right in the fucking beginning. Like I had just totally forgotten his whole deal already.
You're done thinking about Dosu. It's like Dosu's had his time with the spotlight. We've talked about Dosu, quite a lot in this podcast, and now we're done. Never again.
We've talked about this motherfucker so much.
Yeah, got it all on our system. I'm gonna forget him now.
Yeah. Who?
Zaku? I'm not gonna pretend to remember Zaku better than Dosu. I can't commit to this. Do we want to move on to the next half of this episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
Naruto peels Jiraiya away from watching a trio of girls giggle and splash around under a waterfall. Jiraiya has him try to gather his red chakra, but it seems Naruto just can't do it, and wonders what he needs it for anyway. Jiraiya says he simply won't have enough of his own to pull off the technique he's about to teach Naruto, and that in general, it would benefit Naruto to just use as much chakra as possible from now on, since his stamina and sheer amount of special chakra are his biggest strengths. Jiraiya intends to teach Naruto his summoning jutsu, but before that, he needs Naruto to deplete his regular chakra, so Naruto makes a bunch of shadow clones and has them all fight each other. When that's done, Naruto signs the summoning scroll in blood and attempts his first summon. It's a tadpole. And some Anbu on Gecko's corpse.
Okay. I hope that eventually, in the course of watching this show, we will get scenes with Jiraiya that are not introduced by, having some women nearby for him to leer at. But, we don't really get that this week. That's just kind of how you always know Jiraiya's about to be on screen because, we get some girls splashing around. And it is, stunningly consistent this time.
Yeah. Also, I want to mention the girls right now because otherwise I might forget. Because I don't think I mentioned them again in future recaps. I might. I don't remember writing this very well. But this group of girls splashing around under the waterfall is a recurring thing. And can we talk about this for a sec?
What do you want to say about it?
Naruto and Jiraiya moving forward are training in that area for a while. Weeks. And it's always those girls showing up to splash around under the waterfall. So I want to know what their lives is like. Where these three girls meet up in the morning to go to
splash
this
around under a waterfall for 8 hours a day.
8 hours a day. Go back to the hotel all day, every day.
All day, every day. Maybe they're getting paid for this.
Is Jiraiya funding this?
Jiraiya's buddies are there's some mastermind pulling the strings to keep Jiraiya in the village. Be okay, I'm paying these girls to go to this waterfall every day. As long as Jiraiya expects girls at the waterfall, he won't leave. This is actually what Kakashi is doing to help Naruto's training. He's just reached into his wallet a little bit.
Oh my god. No, those are Kakashi's dogs with transformation jutsu.
Oh my god. I guess that's probably cheaper. You just have to get a little bit of blood on you for that, and we know how Kakashi feels about that, so.
Right? And, they do it, too. Dogs fucking love splashing around.
Oh my god. We fucking cracked the code.
Alright, writing that down in my little bingo book about Kakashi.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There'll be no mysteries of Naruto unsolved by the time we finish this podcast.
Oh yeah. So serious now.
Okay, yeah. So we get some more of Jiraiya talking to Naruto, and last week I talked about how Jiraiya is kind of the guy who's willing to talk to Naruto straightforwardly about a bunch of stuff, and that's kind of contradicted here. There's an extent to which Jiraiya is just very much dancing around being hey, you got the nine-tailed fox in you, and that's the nine-tailed fox chakra. I mean, Naruto knows he has the nine-tailed fox in him, but not really what that means concretely. And Jiraiya's not really helping him paint any pictures there, or not helping him get a clearer picture of that here. And or the extent to which Jiraiya is just cagey about shit in this episode is I'm trying to figure out like on what level is just like, okay, yeah, this isn't like a dramatic scene to like spell out a lot of stuff, right? There's clearly a much more dramatic scene coming in one of our episodes this week about like spelling out the situation with Naruto and the Nine-Tailed Fox in more detail, so we're gonna save that for there. And like, you know, like that is probably the main purpose of it. But I also am just sort of sitting here trying to be like, okay, is there like a character justification for this? Like, is there like a you know, an in-story reason why like you wouldn't just say this? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I could come up with reasons, but like
come up with a reason. But I guess maybe it's not the most productive thing to do here.
Yeah,
it is just like a weird. It's just a weird point in terms of like how Jiraiya is both like the guy who will like, you know, say shit to Naruto mostly straightforwardly, and also he is like a character in Naruto who has to like hold back on information until it is most appropriate for it to be revealed.
Yeah,
it's a weird tension here.
Right, because like I can see Naruto being the kid that like learns it's the Nine-Tailed Fox's chakra and being like, well, then I'm not going to use it.
Yeah, that's reasonable, right? And like, you know, there's probably an extent to which like nobody really knows how to handle this stuff.
Mm-hmm. But
also, it's not like Jiraiya's really being all that careful about like a lot of other things, so I don't know how much he's concerned about that.
Right.
But, you know, in spite of this, like, kind of case, you know, there's, like, some nice stuff of Jiraiya being, like, a teacher for Naruto here, being a mentor for Naruto here. Like, I like where he's, I like that he's willing to talk to Naruto about, like, hey, you know, all of the, like, basic kinds of training that's been, like, really hard for you your whole life is, like, this is stuff you don't really need to worry about because there's, like, other ways you can do shit and be good at shit that, like, is better suited to you, right? Like, you know, you don't have to, like, worry about all of these, like, granular chakra control stuff because, like, you know, there's other options, and like I just really like Jiraiya, like being the guy who comes in after Naruto is in like this very like, you know, like is like a fairly like regimented style of schooling before this, and just is like, hey, there's like other ways to learn shit. I think that's great.
Yeah.
There's like another bit in this scene that I want to call out that I think is kind of cute. This episode and the previous episode have like have the same storyboarder. And so there's a bit where Jiraiya's like, hey, remember what I told you last time about like how you got two kinds of chakras in you? And, like, while he's saying that, there's like a very direct like mirroring of like the exact like shot where Jiraiya was telling him that in the previous episode, which I think is a fun little bit.
Oh yeah, that is cute.
But anyway, so for Naruto to continue his training, he just needs to use up all of his chakra, and I think the anime episode's like best innovation over the manga is that Naruto's strategy for doing this is just beating the shit out of himself with a lot of shadow clones. Like, in the manga, he's just doing the, like, walking on water training for a long time to burn through his chakra. And I think it's so much more fun if Naruto just summons, like, 50 of himself and they all get, like, stoked to, like, pummel the shit out of each other.
Yeah, that rules.
It's really funny. Like, they are just all fucking amped about it.
You know, God, if I could make, like, 50 shadow clones, I'd be doing that shit every day.
Right? Like, I mean, especially because, like, once you realize, like, later in Naruto, we learned that, like, when a shadow clone disperses, Naruto gets all that knowledge back. So you're getting so fucking good at fighting yourself.
Right. It's good if there's ever, like, an evil doppelganger situation.
Yeah. Like, if Naruto ever has to fight his evil doppelganger, these 3 weeks alone are just gonna fucking...
Yeah.
Like, he even aside from any other shit he learns, he's fucking ready.
An evil doppelganger that takes the form of his 12-year-old self, though, is maybe not...
Okay, yeah.
Is maybe
fair.
not something that Naruto has to worry about for that much longer.
That's probably true. I also like that once, like, he's done fighting all of his shadow clones, Naruto's, like, very proud of being the strongest out of all of them, because to him it is a great feat to be the one guy in this fight that doesn't like dissipate into a puff of smoke if you hit him hard enough. It's a big point of pride for him.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's really hard.
It's really hard.
It's really hard to be the only one made of flesh, instead of, like, I don't know, magic. What are shadow clones made of?
Magic, probably. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, right? Like,
I guess they're solid, but we don't know, like, how solid they are. Like, I don't know if they've got, like, organs and shit.
I'm imagining they're like a 3D model filled with smoke. Or like a balloon, I guess.
Mm-hmm. They've got, like, enough blood for it to be, like, kind of convincing when they get hit for, like, a moment, but, like, it's not a lot of blood.
Yeah. This is stupid.
This is stupid. Yeah, so, Naruto used up all his chakra, and then Jiraiya like brings out the big frog summoning scroll. And there's a few details about this I think are pretty cute. The first is that I really love that this really important ceremonial frog summoning scroll has these cute frog drawings on it.
Yeah, it does.
They're amazing. It's like these really goofy, really simplified frog drawings that are they're very fitting for something as important as this. And there's another element that's like not really directly touched upon, and like maybe not even something anybody making this was thinking about, that I think is kind of cute, where like I think it's like a kind of a sweet gesture for Jiraiya to like let Naruto sign this thing, because Naruto's dad was like, if not the last person to sign it before Naruto, like one of the last people. And I think it's like kind of a sweet gesture, even if it's not necessarily the intent of the scene to like give the kid that kind of connection to his dad, even if like Jiraiya is sort of arbitrarily not telling Naruto about who his dad is in the same way that everybody else is.
Yeah, even if he dies a few weeks from now and like his only connection is their names next to each other in that scroll.
Yeah. Give him something to leave behind. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great. I guess the last thing I have to say about this episode comes when the Anbu are finding Gekko's corpse. There is like a very minor Naruto character who is like in this scene in the anime, but not in the manga, who is the Anbu with like long purple hair, who I believe is Gekko's girlfriend. So it was really sweet of the anime to let her be here for like discovering her boyfriend's like terrible corpse.
Jeez Louise. Has she been in the story at all yet?
No, I believe like she first appears like after this at some point.
Okay. I was gonna say, just like fucking dick move.
Yeah.
Like you give this guy a girlfriend that loves him very much with such a minor role that I didn't even fucking recognize her. But
no, I think she shows up later to be sad about him dying at like some point, like later in the arc or like at the end of it. I don't remember precisely.
Well, I hope she gets over it.
Yeah, maybe she will. Do you want to move on to the next episode?
Yeah, let's move on to the next episode.
Okay.
Episode 55. A feeling of yearning. A flower full of hope. Naruto's still having trouble summoning a frog, and Sakura sits up in bed, worrying about Sasuke when her mom yells her to get out of bed. The Hokage informs the Jonin about Gekko's murder. Some of the Jonin want to cancel the Chunin exams, but the Hokage says that'll just play into Orochimaru's hands, and figures he's probably working with another village. Sakura heads out to see Sasuke at the hospital and goes to pick up some flowers on the way, only to find Ino manning the storefront. Ino decides to come with her, and they both pick out their flowers, with Sakura deciding to get one for Lee as well. On the way, they run into the rest of Ino's squad having lunch at Choji's favorite barbecue place. We see the other Leaf Chunin candidates training, the Sand siblings having an ominous meeting of some kind, and Naruto summoning another tadpole.
Oh yeah, so this whole episode is sort of bookended by Jiraiya's training strategies have really sort of hit a wall where he doesn't really know what to do if Naruto doesn't get it right, so he just kind of watches Naruto do it wrong for about like it's I don't know if it comes up in the episode, but in the manga it says it's been like 2 weeks since the last one, so he's just kind of been doing this. This is basically all he's got.
Yeah,
he's just kind of sitting here like watching Naruto, like, well, not really watching Naruto, but like being near Naruto while Naruto fails to summon frogs for like 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm. The dogs are still the dogs are still splashing around.
Yeah, so he's on the hook, but like,
yeah,
he's got he's willing to work with Naruto more than a lot of the other teachers in Naruto's life, but he's got his problems, like the fact where he doesn't know what he's fucking doing at all, even a little bit. But anyway, from there we got to Sakura, who's just kind of sitting in a room, saying that she's really busy to her mom. And like Sakura is actually very busy in her defense. Like she does need to keep remembering what the final exam or the final stage of the tuning exam is to tell to Sasuke later. So it's a big task.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
It's pretty big. The other thing I want to call out about Sakura's room is that she has a lot of like seemingly like empty frames. like decorating her room.
Yeah, what's up with that, huh?
Yeah.
Did they just, like, not want to draw pictures? Or should we be, like, worried about Sakura?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm a little worried about Sakura. Like, there's, like, shots that are, like, not the one I'm gonna, like, put in the, that I'm gonna, like, put in the tweet after the episode, that, like, have, like, a little bit of detail. Like, one of them is, like, a thing with a brown background with, like, some writing on it, and one of them is, like, sort of like a red outline in a frame that seems kind of like the thing that would be like, hey, you know, you can put a picture here. The rest are just like completely blank, and I don't know what's going on there. She doesn't have any pictures she wants to put in there, I guess, but she loves frames.
Yeah, I'm saving these for when I attend Sasuke's funeral.
Yeah, from there we got to the Jonin meeting. You know, everybody was pretty antsy. They're like kind of worried about if Orochimaru killed Gekko, and you know, Kakashi and the Hokage are like very quick to quell everybody's fears. It was not Orochimaru. It was just a guy working for Orochimaru. Orochimaru is in the village, but he did not personally kill Gekko, so like it's probably fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
It's probably okay.
Look, it doesn't mean. Look, Orochimaru did not personally kill this guy. However, Orochimaru does have someone working for him who's strong enough to kill this guy. So don't worry.
Don't worry about it. The other point that I think is really interesting in this meeting is, you know, when the possibility that like one of the allied nations is like working with Orochimaru because Orochimaru is like basically the best guy to be friends with if you want to fuck up the Hidden Leaf. Everybody's like, what? But all these people here are. Everybody's like, what? But all of these people here are our allies. And Third Hokage is like, yeah, but the alliance doesn't really mean shit. Like, it's just kind of a spoken agreement, and there's not really any consequences for breaking it, I guess. Like, it's not really, it's not a big deal.
But they pinky promised. Everyone swore on their moms that we wouldn't go to war.
It really calls into question the wisdom of, just sort of letting all of these guys into your village if you just kind of like shook on it one time and were like, yeah, we would go to war, but like nobody knows what spies are really. Nobody knows what espionage is, so it's like, again, it's fine.
What if the agreement? What if part of the agreement is like, okay, Chunin exams where we all meet up in one village? That's the one time we're allowed to do espionage.
You can do anything you want once you're in there.
Anything goes during the Chunin exams. Don't worry about it.
Right. I mean, like, it's fascinating because, like, in the grand scheme of Naruto, like, the Sand Village deciding to attack the Leaf during the Chunin exams has basically no effect on the alliance between, like, the Sand and the Leaf.
Yeah, right? It's like...
like, they are cool again, like, before the time skip, even.
Yeah, like, hey, you know, no hard feelings. It was during the Chunin exams, after all.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. I mean, and, like, frankly, kind of the same deal with Orochimaru, right? Like...
yeah. It's like, oh shit, you know, we were thinking about, like, we might need to, like, do something about Orochimaru, but we realized he only attacked the village during the Chunin exams, so we have no grounds for that.
Yeah, like...
He basically didn't break any laws.
Yeah, like, hey, you know, like, you're still a little bit of, like, a snake pervert, but, like, no hard feelings, bro.
It's fine. Anything goes.
It's like, yeah. It's fine. It's just the Chunin exams.
What's the harm in a little real war and our fake war that we're all doing together?
Right, that's basically the whole point. Come on now. Come on. Oh my god, that changes the conversation of like stopping the Chunin exams so much. It's really funny. It's like it's like calling time out. Like, hey, stop. Where's
Wait, no, like for real though? Are we at war?
Oh my god. Does the guy who spoke up about wanting to stop the Chunin exams like have a name? Is that a guy? Because I looked for a minute.
I'm not sure. Like he didn't seem like a guy to me, right?
Right, but it's like his design was like just distinct enough to where I was like,
Uh-huh.
is that a guy?
Yeah, I didn't look into this because I was like, oh, that's not a guy because I don't recognize him at all. But
Right.
like,
Right.
but like maybe he's a guy. If I'll probably look into it after this episode now that you've asked because I'm not going to do a bunch of like Google searching on the podcast.
Yeah.
But like, if that guy's a guy, we'll update you on that next week.
Yeah, because like
Or I'll forget.
He had more distinct features than like Gecko did.
Uh-huh.
And I guess that other guy you thought Gecko was.
But he doesn't have Gecko's like constant sickly anime cough. So can you really say that he's got more features?
I guess not. He's got as many features.
I'll balance this out.
But back to Sakura.
Back to Sakura, yeah. So Sakura is going over to Ino's flower shop, Ino's family's flower shop, to get some flowers to go visit Sasuke. I think this scene's pretty fucking lame.
Yeah.
Like, there's just not a lot to like really latch onto in terms of like investment in these characters as characters in their own right. Like, we kind of get the like, oh, Ino's picking a flower and she picks a rose for love, but then Sakura's picking a flower and it's like a display of like actual care, and it's like, it's a sign to us that Sakura is more invested in Sasuke on this deeper level beyond just like what wanting to just the pursuit of Sasuke as this like ideal or whatever. But like, I don't fucking care. Like,
yeah, who fucking gives a shit?
Like, that's not going to pay off in an interesting way, and it's not like it's not a particularly interesting expression of like the connection between Sakura and Ino at all. It's just sort of like I am not going to invest in the idea like, oh, maybe Sakura really cares about Sasuke because like the show doesn't like I've read Naruto before, I've watched Naruto before, like the show doesn't care about that, and so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fall for that.
Yeah, obviously. No way.
It's just not a very interesting way to pit these characters against each other at all.
No, especially since, like, we're supposed to be past this, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, they had that whole thing during the preliminaries.
But like, clearly nobody's really thought about what that relationship actually looks like, progressed past that point, so they're just still doing the same thing.
They should be gay.
Our stances on this are well documented.
Yeah. And so, like, okay. I have something to say about them running into Shikamaru and Choji and Asuma.
Okay.
So, like, did they just, like, not invite Ino?
God, I guess not. Like, I didn't really realize this until like you were listing the names of the people in that scene. I was like, oh wait, shit, no, they didn't invite at all.
Right, because that's the first time she's hearing about them training too. So, like, not only did they not invite Ino to go out to eat, they didn't invite her to train.
Oh my god. Asuma.
Asuma.
Get it together.
Jesus Christ, dude.
The fuck is wrong with you?
Like, that scene could have been, like, functionally identical if Ino just, like, knew why they were there.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, right, because like, we see the training and it's like, oh, Choji is like rolling at Shikamaru really fast and Shikamaru has to stop him with his shadows, right? And like, sure, okay, it makes sense that Ino doesn't have like a ton to contribute to that specific thing that's about like, pushing Shikamaru's limits further with like his shadow possession jutsu.
Mm-hmm.
But like, she doesn't know about it. Unbelievable.
Yeah, right. Or even if just like the greeting that Asuma gives Ino when they see each other is like, I thought you were working today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Like any like sign that Asuma cares even a little bit about that Asuma has thought about even once in his life would be appreciated.
Yeah. God damn.
God damn. As and Sakura move off to the hospital, we get some shots of the other teams. I do have to like eat my words a little bit about what I said about like most people not getting new techniques, because like I do remember from like the bit we see of Neji here, it's like, oh yeah, Neji's gonna get his like spinning thing that he does for the finals or whatever. So like, I guess he is learning a new thing. So there's a little more of that than I remembered. So that's nice.
Yeah, and I think it's cute that Tenten is helping with that.
Yeah, I mean, like, because it's like, hey, that's I mean, it doesn't speak well to Tenten's capabilities as, like, a person who gets to win fights in Naruto, but, like, you know, she's pretty well suited to, like, helping train with that specific ability.
Yeah.
We get a shot of, like, I'm not really sure what they're doing to train Shino, right? Like, we get a shot of, like, Kurenai and Kiba are running at him with kunai, and, like, he's just releasing a bunch of bugs from his hands, and I don't know what the training plan is there. It all seems kind of disconnected.
Yeah, I mean, it's because, like, how does Shino get stronger?
Like, he probably just grows better bugs in him.
Yeah. Or like, later we get a lot of, like, oh, this is a specific, like, species that I have brought along for this particular trick.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, you know.
Yeah, like, I'm not really sure what, like, how he benefits from having a bunch of, like, bugs shoot out of him, other than, like, I don't know, that's probably pretty uncomfortable for him because the bugs gotta come out of his skin.
Yeah.
I think the other scene in this sequence is, like, kind of weird because, like, it is this silent scene of the Sand Siblings being told something, which, like, maps pretty cleanly onto a scene that I believe will be, like, in the first of our episodes next week, but, like, we're just kind of getting it here with no dialogue this time.
That's funny.
It's an interesting choice, I suppose. But yeah, that's what I had to say about this half of the episode. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
Nah, let's move on.
Okay.
A nurse brings Ino and Sakura to Sasuke's room, but he's not there. His clothes are gone too. The nurse rushes out of the room to fetch the doctor and look for Sasuke. Sakura worries he left to seek out Orochimaru. We see Kakashi one arm climbing up a rocky cliff with Sasuke waiting for him at the top. Sakura and Ino head over to Lee's room to find he's missing too. Luckily, he's just outside the window, doing some ill-advised push-ups. He collapses at just one away from his goal. Rock Lee wakes up in his hospital bed and wonders who brought him the flower. Naruto finally summons something other than a tadpole. A tadpole with 2 legs.
Sakura and get led into Sasuke's hospital room, and he's not there. I don't have a ton to say about this scene precisely. I'm like mostly bringing it up now because I'm going to circle back around to it again a little later.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in your mind. If you've seen the episode, especially, we cut over to Kakashi, and like this what Kakashi is doing is another one of these things that like I'm not entirely sure of the utility of.
Yeah, right. Okay, so like, the thing about climbing up a cliff with one arm for training is that you then have to go back down and climb it with the other arm so you're symmetrical.
Right, but even beyond that, like, I mean, I'm sure it's a good workout, but, like, I don't know what situation you're gonna, like...
Can't you just walk vertically up that bitch?
You can just walk vertically up that bitch. Like, I don't know why you're doing this. There's this other, like, really weird shot in this bit of Kakashi climbing the cliff where, like, he looks like he's about to fall, and then we get, like, this zoom in on his, like, throbbing brain as he, like, pulls it back up. Which is just like it sure is a way to communicate something. I don't know if I can tell you what.
He opened a gate.
Okay. Oh, did he open a gate?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even think about that as a thing like Kakashi can do, but like,
Yeah, he opened the first gate, and then gave him like a little push.
Okay. All right. Well, I feel like a fucking fool right now. Though you got my ass. I'm retiring as the Naruto expert of this podcast. I hope you can find somebody else next episode.
No. We can just swap positions. Can you be funny?
Okay. I'll try. Can you look up who worked on every episode of Naruto?
Can you still do that?
Okay. All right. Let's just keep what we got going on here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway. No surprise to anybody that Sasuke is out here waiting to get trained by Kakashi. We go back to the hospital. Sakura and Ino are led into Rock Lee's room. The nurse says the exact same shit that she said going into Sasuke's room. They like walk into like an identical room, like basically all of the same shots again.
Yeah, I mean, like to be fair, it's a hospital. Hospital rooms look the same.
Hospital rooms look the same, but like the way stuff is like displaced is like I mean, I'm not gonna get on the production's ass for like, oh, I can't believe you didn't draw two like different
You didn't draw 2 different identical hospital rooms.
But it's just very funny to me like how these two scenes play out like so like precisely the same way,
Yeah.
and like so close to each other. Like it just really draws attention to itself in a way that I couldn't avoid remarking on. Like especially because like in the manga, like when they find Lee, like Sakura and Ino are just like waiting out in the hospital courtyard, like wondering where Sasuke went, and then like they would realize Lee is behind them doing push-ups. So it's like this.
Yeah, they didn't have to reuse that room at all.
Yeah, but you know they gotta draw this one out again. Like our first 2 episodes this week are both just adapting one chapter again. So there's some like there's some attempts to pad for time. Speaking of attempts to pad for time, in the manga, when Rock Lee is doing push-ups, the first number we hear him say is 199. In the anime. They did it. The anime, Rock Lee starts at 190, so we just get this really long scene of him like painstakingly doing 9 push-ups, like 1-arm push-ups before collapsing, which is really...
Oh my god.
It is very transparent in a way I can't help but be charmed by.
It's really funny. Right, and it's just like grueling because they're like... the nurse, Sakura, and Ino are all just like kind of standing around being like,
"Oh jeez, you should be doing this. Please stop. Like, please." And then we get to like this very weird structural point for the episode, where we get like, okay, so in the manga version of this scene, like we don't get the flashback of Sakura and Ino. We don't get the scene of Sakura and Ino in the flower shop until like they have a flashback to that whole scene here. Mm-hmm. And like I think it makes sense, especially if you're just gonna like kind of like expand out like here's like Sakura's day as she like goes towards the hospital to like place that chronologically. But then we do still get the weird decision of we get a flashback to that scene, and then we get like a little extra bit at the end we didn't see before of Sakura and Ino like talking about how Lee won't how Lee might not be able to like recover and be a ninja again. And it just feels like a strange choice because this isn't a reveal to us.
Yeah, like we know.
We know. So it's just like it becomes this point of like, oh, the show just like hid this information from us that we already knew until like a point where it was ostensibly more dramatic for us, but like it really wasn't. It's just kind of some weird choices being made here.
Yeah. So Rock Lee falls down.
Rock Lee falls down, yeah. And Sakura's like, why do boys always push themselves so hard? And he was like, I don't know, I'm not a boy, and I'm just fucking sitting there, like, I can't believe this shit. Like, I can believe this shit, but also, like, come on.
Yeah, right? Like...
Try a little harder. You don't gotta, like, sit here and tell us about, like, the emotions that only boys can understand of, like, wanting to like push yourself and be good at something. Like what are you doing here?
God.
It's just like super infantilizing of like Sakura and Ino who just don't like who...
Yeah, right? Like what the fuck are you talking about? You're supposed to be rivals.
So you're like your rivals to each other. You are like you have like the same job as Rock Lee. You are like went through like a lot of the same education, except I guess you went to girl class and like maybe that's what boy class was, is it's where you learn to like be self-destructively like be self-destructive in like pursuit of your personal growth. But like I don't know, it's just like I get them being uncomfortable about like seeing Lee like try to push himself in the face of like something he might not be able to overcome, but it just feels absurd that they're like, oh, I can't understand why he could possibly be feeling this way because I'm a girl.
God damn.
I'm sick of gender. They gotta stop putting it in here.
They gotta
cut this shit out.
Yeah. Fucking dudes aren't allowed to talk about gender anymore. Especially from the mouths of girls, right? Like,
yeah, it's unbelievable. But that's basically what I have to say about this episode. If we are good to move on.
Yeah, let's press on. Episode 56. Live or die. Risk it all to win it all. Naruto is making slow progress and collapses from exhaustion. We see Anko talking to the Hokage, She regrets not being able to handle Orochimaru in the forest, and the Hokage reassures her that nobody could have, and she shouldn't blame herself. Jiraiya decides Naruto isn't getting anywhere in his 3 weeks of training, so he takes him out. Jiraiya decides Naruto isn't getting anywhere in his 3 weeks of training, so he takes him out around town to bathe, have a meal he really enjoys, and see the girl he likes, laying it on a little too thick that he's planning on Naruto dying. Naruto only barely catches on. On the outskirts of town, Jiraiya knocks Naruto out and carries him off. When Naruto awakes, Jiraiya finally lays it out for him. He's going to put Naruto in a situation where his life depends on the summoning jutsu, and if he still can't muster his red chakra then, he'll just die. Then pushes him down a huge spike chasm without giving him time to process anything.
Okay. So, I mean, to start with, I want to talk about how this episode looks a little bit. Specifically, I want to highlight the animation director this time, Chikara Sakurai. Chikara Sakurai has been a key animator on the show fairly regularly up to this point, but this is his first episode as an animation director. And I think the work we get from that is really good. There are a lot of really fun, cartoony, expressive moments in this episode, but it also has some real moments where the quieter and more subtle emotion shines as well. I think this is a very nice looking episode. Just in terms of what an episode at this scale of production could be like. It is interesting that we're basically we're 2 for 2. Where now we're the best looking episode of the week is an episode that expands a Jiraiya scene and makes him look way worse. But
yeah.
Yeah, but before we really get into that thing, I want to talk about Anko.
Yeah, let's talk about Anko.
Yeah, so I've talked on this podcast previously about how I was the last time I went through Naruto, I was really very invested in Anko, and I think this scene is kind of the last piece of it. Even though watching it now, I can I think this scene doesn't actually do a lot for her and is mostly there to be hey, and here's a way that the Third Hokage is kind of a nice, well-intentioned guy, right? The scene is barely about her, but also I'm still sitting here looking at it, and if you will permit me to do some heavy lifting on on behalf of the show, I do kind of want to get into it.
Yeah.
Right. So the thrust of the scene is that Anko is coming to apologize for not killing Orochimaru and dying in the process back in the Forest of Death, and the Hokage is trying to be no, you don't have any responsibility towards doing that. You don't have any connection to him anymore. You should just live your life, and when it comes down to it, we'll all we'll all fight as best as we can, and you don't have to take that personal responsibility onto yourself beyond that, and just tells her to not blame herself before leaving, right? And so for one thing, this doesn't really seem to put Anko that much at ease, and I think there's a way you can read this that especially in terms of what we saw imparted onto children throughout the course of the Chunin exams. It's okay, this is what you learn when you're being a ninja, and being told all of this stuff that the Third Hokage is telling her isn't really all that helpful. It's hard. It's just a bunch of stuff that's kind of hard to align with what you were taught as a ninja about how you need to be ready to die for the mission. You need to be willing to accept your death all the time. You need to be so much of ninja education in terms of the Chunin exams that we saw was just all about basically being ready to destroy yourself for something. And so it's easy to see her being kind of dissatisfied with an attempt to reassure her that's basically yeah, but I mean, don't do all of that stuff that's the primary thing you've been taught to do, right? It is a difficult position for her to resolve. And there's another interesting element in terms of the Third Hokage tells her that she doesn't really have any connection to Orochimaru anymore, but there is an extent in Naruto to which we see that in many cases the person who was your Jonin leader or whatever when you're a Genin is the most significant person in your life in a lot of ways, in terms of I don't think it's a stretch to say that for a lot of Naruto characters, the Jonin leader is a more important figure than their parent.
Yeah,
like, their parents, like I imagine this especially gets into the case when like you've got people who grew up when there were like wars happening. Like we never see Anko's family, so I guess we don't know for sure, and like we don't know for sure if they're like dead or not. But like it's probably a safe assumption because that's just kind of how being in the village goes, right? So
yeah, right. Like if you're a shinobi, right? If you're a shinobi, and your parents aren't dead, then your parents are like cool old badasses that everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, and I suspect that's not where Anko's parents are because we never see them.
Yeah.
And so there's this real sense of like the Third Hokage is just telling her a lot of shit that she can't really like resolve. Like it's hard for her to stop caring about like the like weird complicated connection she has to Orochimaru. It's hard for her to stop caring about like, you know, all of the things she's internalized about how being a good shinobi means being willing to die for your village, right? Like it's just like it's just this big mess of conflicting things that doesn't like do much for her. And I think it also casts the Third Hokage in an interesting way, where like he comes across as kind of this I don't know, like this is in some level supposed to be a scene being like, yeah, he's like a nice guy who has people's best interests in heart, but he also kind of comes across as like this sad old guy who doesn't really like, you know, like he was the Hokage, and then he like had a successor appointed, and then his successor died, and he had to be the Hokage again. And like he's just kind of like he is a guy who is like kind of soft in a lot of ways. He's kind of you know, he is willing to like say all of these things about how like, oh, you don't need to worry about this, you don't need to like put yourself at risk like this, but also like all of the systems that put people in those places are still there. And it casts him in this light of like, yeah, here's this like sad old guy who kind of wishes things are different, but like not enough to use his position to like try and make them be different in any way that really matters.
Right, because like I can really see him being in kind of the situation where it's just like, yeah, right, like this sucks, but this is how we do wars, and hey, there's a war coming.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I think there's like some really interesting stuff there, and like it does leave me in a position of still being like, yeah, I bet you could do some really interesting stuff with Anko as a character, even if I kind of recognize, like, more so than I did last time, that, like, the investment to that isn't really there and, like, was never really there.
Yeah. Totally.
But, you know, after we get that, this sort of quiet, serious, dramatic scene, we go back to Naruto and Jiraiya, and Jiraiya has decided that he's going to throw Naruto off a cliff, and so he does this big comedy tour of the village of you know, trying to give him like a nice last day or whatever. It's a very weird bit. It's like entirely original to the anime. In the manga, Naruto just like collapses after his training, and Jiraiya's like, okay, I'm going to do something drastic. And there's like maybe a room for some ambiguity about like if he's actually going to be like, yeah, this kid is going to die, or if he's just going to like put him in a dangerous situation. But like here, it's very explicit that Jiraiya's like, yeah, this kid. It's very possible that this kid's gonna die, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna try and give him a nice last day, but also like not really try that hard because he's just also kind of really mean to Naruto this whole time.
Yeah, right. Like he just fucking ditches the restaurant.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, go like bother this girl, and like she's probably gonna hit you, but like you know, it's this is just what you do or whatever, and it's just like. He does not come out of the scene looking good. It's just
he just really doesn't.
It's like, oh, this guy sucks. Maybe like this isn't a fun guy at all. This is just
Wait a sec.
Wait a second. I thought he was like kind of cool enough for me to like instead of him being like a shitty pervert. But like in this episode, he just kind of sucks. And like it's not gonna like. Like, I'm not going to hold it against the character long term, because this is just kind of a weird episode in that regard. But, like...
Yeah.
It's not a great scene. It's not, like, very funny. Like, I mean, there's some funny drawings, but, like, the actual, like, material is, like, pretty weak a lot of the time. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna be a dick to this kid and, like, do this extremely half-assed, like, here's your nice final day thing. And I don't know, it just, like... It just kind of feels at odds with, like, the sense that Jiraiya actually, like, cares about Naruto's growth at all.
Yeah, right? Like, This would have been a really good scene if, like, Jiraiya was just more genuine.
Yeah, right. Because like I'm not gonna be like, oh, I can't believe he threw Naruto off a cliff. Because like whatever, it's like a shonen manga training arc. Sometimes you do really drastic things for the sake of that, and like that's just how the genre works, right? Like
Yeah.
It is entirely in the fact that like the whole scene is a big joke about how like uncaring Jiraiya is towards Naruto in a way that feels really dissonant to me.
Like, I could totally see Jiraiya being somebody who would, like, promise to treat someone to a meal, show up, have the meal, and then realize that he doesn't have his fucking wallet.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think there are bits with Jiraiya to that extent that, like, in the manga later that are probably what this is drawing from. But, like, this the like, potential severity of the scene makes it feel all off. Like,
yeah. Right, and, like, even that, like, change in framing just a little bit shifts the punchline from, like, haha, Jiraiya fucking ditched this kid, into Jiraiya, you fucking idiot.
Jiraiya fucking ditched this kid that he is planning to kill.
Right. If, like, the joke and, like, the drama in that scene wasn't, like, Naruto eats a lot and then Jiraiya disappears, if it's, like, Naruto eats a lot and then Jiraiya is just like...
It's like, okay, I didn't have that much money, I'm sorry.
Oh god, I didn't have that much money.
I do want to shout out in the scene, I think this is the first appearance of Naruto's Froggy Wallet, and I love the Froggy Wallet. I think it's adorable.
I love the Froggy Wallet. How fucking serendipitous that Naruto just so happened to have a Froggy Wallet.
It's like destiny. The last thing I have to touch on in this half of the episode is, like, so when the actual act of, like, pushing Naruto off a cliff happens...
Yeah?
It is framed in this way that, like... So Jiraiya pokes Naruto in the forehead...
Yeah.
And then Naruto proceeds to go flying back like 50 feet.
Yep.
Right? Like, because he's like standing on one side of like a bunch of brush, and then he gets pushed back. And like he goes like from that single poke, goes flying like all the way to the other side of the brush. And then like we get the shot of him flying and like coming out of it. And like we realize the scope of how far Naruto had been sent flying by that. And it just makes the whole thing feel kind of ridiculous.
That's a very strong poke.
It was a very strong poke. Like, look at this shit. Kid went flying.
Yeah, kid went fucking miles.
Yeah, do you have anything else you want to touch on before we move on to the second half of this episode?
No, let's go ahead. Iruka's teaching Konohamaru's class about the big stone Hokage face monument when the Hokage shows up. The Hokage gives a little speech about how important it is to have someone you want to protect. And Naruto wakes up in some kind of creepy, wet mind palace, where the nine-tailed fox is locked away. Naruto faces the guy and finally realizes what the red chakra is. He steals himself and demands rent in the form of chakra for staying in his body. The fox laughs it off and compliments Naruto's courage, and gives him with some chakra. Naruto wakes up and tries the summoning jutsu again, this time summoning Gamabunta and saving his life. Gamabunta isn't happy about being in this spike chasm.
Yeah, so the first part of this episode, the first part of like this section of the episode is Iruka teaching his kids and like talking about the Hokages and the Third Hokage showing up, and like I just want to say this is like I think this scene looks like incredible, right? Like not in like a super or not like the most eye-catching way, but like it is just like quietly very impressive the whole time. Like both in the sense of like there's like a lot of like individually drawn kids in this scene who are like mostly kept track of and like given a lot of like expression work, and like a lot of the movement is just sort of like really like either like appealingly cartoony or like really understated and natural. Like there's this really great cut where like the Third Hokage is walking past all of the kids, and there's this like really subtle rotation on his face, and then like it cuts to the kids, and like they're all like turning their heads to look after him in this like staggered way that's like timed in multiple like phases like across the cut, where I'm just kind of like, wow, so somebody went like really all out in this one. The best guess on who like is responsible for this is like this whole scene is presumed to be Toshi Hisakaya's work. And again, like very impressive stuff. Like I really love how this scene looks.
Yeah.
trying to remember what I had to actually say about like the contents of the scene. Now that I've said my piece about how it looked, but I'll get there, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Hokage just wants everybody to be safe.
That's all he wants everybody to be safe. He wants everybody to be, like, you know, nice and care about each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's a beautiful sentiment. It seems like maybe a little too late from him, given what his job is.
Yeah, and
how little time he has left in the grand scheme of things. But you know, it's I mean, it is another scene that is trying to like.
Oh my god! Huh. He had that conversation with Anko and was just like, "Oh god, I gotta get to these kids sooner," and then immediately left to go talk to children.
Oh my god! Like I got big plans. I like okay, like once these 2D exams are over, I'm gonna like reform the whole thing. I'm gonna like.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna change all the curriculums, but like we just gotta get through these tutoring exams first. We gotta handle this Orochimaru shit.
Yeah, you know, this Naruto kid has given me some ideas. Like, maybe the secret isn't actually that it's like cool to like give your life on the line of duty. Maybe all you really need is like the drive to protect someone, and then that can carry you through anything. I have to go tell these children right now. And then it goes
my entire life.
Spoiler alert, and then he fucking dies.
I'm really loving this like cartoonishly tragic picture we're painting of Hiruzen Sarutobi.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's pretty good. There's like a bit in this that I do think is genuinely very cute. It's like the entire time like Konoha is just kind of like talking shit in his head, but then with like the Third Hokage is like, and my grandson who I love is here, and like Konoha is just like beaming like an idiot, like he's so happy, like regardless of how much he's like, yeah, my grandpa's a fucking idiot loser. That like he just can't keep it up when his grandpa's being nice to him. I think it's cute.
Yeah, it's really good. I like Konohamaru a lot.
Yeah, Konohamaru is fun.
I mean, like, I don't know how much I like him necessarily when he gets older.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I don't remember, like, basically anything about him from when he's older.
Yeah. But it's like he's like a good goofy kid character to have, like...
Yeah, totally.
Well, like it is fun to have, like, this kid who, like, looks up to the main character in ways that are, like, both, like, genuine and also, like, kind of ridiculously heightened. Mm-hmm. And it's... I don't know. It's just a nice kind of character to have around. And I think Konohamaru is a good one of those, and I think Ikue Itani's voice acting, like, is certainly helping.
Oh, yeah, totally. But,
yeah.
Enough of the fucking kindergarten class.
Yeah, Naruto goes into his fucking mind prison. I fucking love how this shit looks. It's
so good.
It's so good. Like, it is leaning so hard to, like, a lot of the shit that Masashi Kishimoto's, like, best at drawing and designing, which is, like, these super, like, cluttered structures, and, like, all, like, there's, like, this really, like the whole thing is cast in this like dim yellow lighting that just sort of like washes out all the other colors except for like when like the fox shows up, and then like every shot is just like framed as joy. That Naruto looks fucking tiny, and it is just really cool. It just looks great. I'll probably put a few pictures of it in the
Twitter.
Yeah, on the Twitter. Yeah, sorry. God. Don't know how to get there. But like, yeah, I think this is like a great looking scene. I think it's like a great looking environment. It's just cool.
Yeah, it's just really fucking cool. This is really good. Like, it's just a good fucking location. It's a good fucking environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit funny that this is like Naruto's fucking Mind Palace Fox Jail, but like, that's fine.
That's fine. It is appropriately dramatic for what it is. I think it really like, I think it serves as like a really great like. I mean, both as like like we said, it's a great environment. I think it also serves like as a really great lead up to like actually seeing the fox for the first time. I also really like the nine-tailed fox. I like that he's just like this fucking angry asshole who's like, I want to fucking kill you, kid. I don't care that I'm in your body. I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna. Like, just fucking hollering at him and, like, posturing at him. The instant Naruto's, like, being kind of dramatic at him. He's like, oh, all right, you're all right, kid. I still hate your ass, but you're okay.
Yeah, I love this motherfucker so much. Right, because, like, if he was just, like, big scary monster that, like, Naruto had to keep locked up or whatever, that's, like, that's one thing, but it's so much more charming if he's just kind of playing.
I mean, he probably isn't, like, lying about what he wants to do, but also he's, like...
Yeah, but also he's, like, charmed by Naruto in a way that's, like, really charming, right?
He's like, well, I can't really do anything else. I'll just fuck around a bit. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, right? It's so good.
It's so good. So Naruto successfully gets access to the Fox's chakra, and he summons Gamabunta. Gamabunta's in this episode for like 10 seconds, but I fucking love Gamabunta. He's so cool.
I fucking love Gamabunta. For those not in the know, because I realize that this is just like another name we dropped without describing who this guy is.
Mm-hmm. Gamabunta is like a massive toad who talks like a Yakuza boss.
Uh-huh.
He's got a big fucking knife. He's the coolest.
Yeah, and he smokes a huge pipe.
He smokes a huge pipe.
And he's the coolest guy in Naruto.
You couldn't even get through. Like, he is the coolest guy in Naruto, but like, damn, you couldn't even get through that without laughing.
Yeah, he's the coolest. He just is. I'm sorry. It's just true.
It's just true.
He's got, like, scars all over him. He's got, like, fucking piercings on his tongue.
He's got a big coat that he's wearing all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yes.
But he's just a big fuck-off huge toad. This guy rules.
This guy rules. I mean, that's my piece on this episode.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
It's kind of amazing, like, how much better this episode gets in the second half.
Yeah, no shit. Alright, well, I mean, I think that's that for the whole thing, if you don't have anything left to say about this episode.
No, I'm good.
Alright, well, what are we watching next week?
Every time you ask me this question, I'm like, shit, I have to remember what episode we're watching this week, and I can't do that, even though I am looking at, like, multiple Google Docs that have the episodes that we watched this week open at them. But, okay, so next week we are watching episodes 57, 58, and 59 of Naruto.
Awesome.
Look forward to it.
Yeah. Hey, did you like the show? I did.
I did too.
Hey, you want to help support the show? Check out our Patreon. That's patreon.com/KonohaCrush. There, for just $3 a month, you get access to episodes up to a week early. And for a little bit more money, you get a little bit more stuff. And if you want to see some of the images we talked about during the episode, you can check out our Twitter. That is at KonohaCrush, all one word, KonohaCrush. I stream sometimes. I don't know. You can find me places.
Yeah, I mean, like, Gwen's Twitter is linked in the podcast Twitter, so you go there, you can find her there. But also, our Twitter is Resi Art, right?
Twitter, it's Resi Arts.
Ah, shit. I fucked up so bad. I can't do your plugs for you anymore. I have to stop doing this.
All right. No, that's okay. Yeah. You'll fucking find it. I believe in you. If you want it, if you want more from me, I wholeheartedly believe in your ability to do so. And so I think that's basically going to be it for this week. Thanks for listening. And remember, there is no such thing as filler.